All right, we're back, and the only things that we need to implement for this pretty big application so far is going to be the echo command and the cat command, which displays the contents of files. Right, in this video and probably the next, we are going to focus on echo, and then we are going to display the file contents in a later video. Right, so let's focus on echo for now. And let's start with supporting it in the first place. So like you used to, let's do an else here. If echo equals token 0, then this same logic. If token's length is less than 2, then incomplete command with echo, which is a constant that we're going to implement to declare above. Otherwise, new echo, which we're going to define in a moment. And then here, instead of tokens 1, we are going to pass in all the rest of the arguments. So we're going to pass in tokens tail. That is the rest of the tokens, because echo can receive multiple parameters. Cool, so let's declare the echo constant, which is echo, right? So that should be it for the two errors here, and let's create the echo command. So in the commands package, create a new Scala class echo, and the echo will receive an array of string as its argument. So args will be an array of string, or a list of string if you prefer. And if you want to do a list of string, then make sure to convert this guy to a list if you choose to do that. So this guy should extends command. Okay, cool. Now, of course, we need to override the apply. Override def apply state, which is a state, and yes, import and return a state. And this guy will be implemented right now. Okay. Now, the logic here is going to be pretty straightforward, but it's probably a little bit of work. So if there are no arguments, then I'm just going to return the same state. So if no args, then state. Otherwise, if just one arg, then just print to console, because if you remember, if you say echo something, then you're going to print to console. So print to console. Otherwise, if two args, or if multiple args, then we need to check the next to last argument if it's this guy or this guy. Okay, so the operator is next to last argument, and if it's this guy, then we're going to echo to a file. If this guy, append to a file, keeping in mind that this guy may create a file if not there. And otherwise, just echo everything to console. So this is going to be the entire logic of this method. Of course, echoing to a file and appending to a file will involve the reconstruction of the directory structure. But let's deal with echoing to console for now. Okay, so let's implement this logic and stub out these methods, echoing to a file and appending to a file, and we'll deal with them later. So if no args, that means args length is 0 or args is empty, So if args is empty, then just return state, because there's nothing to modify. Otherwise, if args length is 1, that means we just have one argument, then we're going to print to standard output. That means state.setMessage, and then we're going to print out args0. That means the first element in the args array. Okay. Otherwise, we have multiple arguments, so we need to attempt to identify the operator. So let's call this operator, which is args with args length minus 2. That is the next to last argument. This thing will always succeed because args length is always greater than or equal to 2. So we have the operator and the file name, which is args of args length minus 1, which is the last argument. Now, the content of the echo that we want to add or append to the file name, so let's say content, means the rest of the arguments. Let's say CreateContent of args and args length minus 2, which is the top index in the args array. So we will create the content. We are going to create this little helper function, and we are going to supply that to the file. So let's go ahead and create this little method. So def CreateContent. Let's actually create this here. So def CreateContent with args, which is an array of string, and the top index, which is an int. And this will create a string, which is going to be the whole content of the echo command. The top index will be non-inclusive. Top index non-inclusive, just so that we don't forget. Okay? Cool. Awesome. And continuing with the logic, so if the operator is the greater than, then we're going to echo to a file. And if this guy is the append, we're going to append to a file. All right. Cool. So if this guy equals operator, then we're going to run another helper method, which we're going to call, let's say, do echo, in the same fashion that we did for the other commands. So do echo, and we're going to pass in the state because otherwise we wouldn't get access to it, and then the contents that we want to supply to the file, then the file name, and the append mode, right? Because echo, this method may overwrite the file or may append to a file. So we are going to define do echo like this. So I'm going to define do echo taking in a state, then the content, which is a string, the file name, which is a string as well, and an append mode. So append is a boolean. If this guy is true, then this do echo method will work in append mode. If this guy is false, if this guy is false, then do echo will work in overwrite mode or in creation mode. So here the append is going to be true. Otherwise, if the overwrite operator equals operator, then do echo state contents file name and false, because we're working in non-append mode. By the way, let's just return a state here. Otherwise, just echo everything to standard output. So state.setMessage with CreateContent from args and args length. That means every single token in the echo command is going to be material for the content. So basically we're echoing everything to the console. Okay, awesome. We should probably name these append modes because they're more readable. So I'm just gonna say append equals true and append equals false. It's often useful to name your Boolean parameters as you write code, because otherwise you don't know what they mean. If you, in your experience, if you get into somebody else's code and you see a method being called with 1, 2, 3, and true, you don't know what those values mean. So it's often useful to name them. You probably know from the default and named arguments course that you can name your parameters, even if you have default values for them or not. Cool, so we have two small methods to implement because the main logic of the apply method has already been done. Okay, let's create the content first, and then we'll move on to do echo. This create content thing is pretty straightforward, and let's do it this way. Let's create a small helper recursive, tail recursive function that will construct the string for us. So define create content helper, which takes in the array of strings, so args, which is array of string, the current index, which is an int. This will go from 0 to top index, and the accumulator, which is a string, and this will return a string. Actually, we don't really need this parameter. Okay, so if current index is greater than or equal to top index, then just return the accumulator, because there's nothing more to iterate. Otherwise, just call create content helper with current index plus 1, index plus 1, and the accumulator now is going to be the old accumulator plus a small space and the args of current index. And the way that we're going to call this, we're going to call this create content helper with current index starting at 0 and the accumulator starting as an empty string. Just to make sure, we're going to annotate this with that tail rec, and the compiler doesn't yell at us, which means that we've implemented this brilliantly. Okay, so let's move on to do echo, which is a little bit more involved. Actually, you know what? Let's just take a break and leave this a little bit unimplemented for now and test echo with the logic that we have so far, because we can still do it even without overwrite or append. So let's actually run this, and let's just test that the echo to console works well. So echo hello. Cool, so we have hello to the console. If we have echo something. Cool. We have everything. So this logic works well. We just need the do echo to actually add to or overwrite the contents of a file in the directory structure. Okay, cool. I'm suggesting that we wrap this video up because the logic is going to be pretty involved and this video is getting a little bit long. So I will see you in a few seconds, and yep, let's do that.